Whether you're making beats and you're putting the drums on it and you're trying to sell it to an artist, or you're making melodies for collab, if you're making melodies for selling kits, or you're trying to get placements like Q Beats and other people who make melodies, you better keep them interesting and constantly evolving. For me, a melody is 50% of the beat, right? If you're expecting 50% on a collab, don't send somebody an 8-bar loop. I don't mean to put anybody down or anything. I'm just saying, like, do your part. Would you expect somebody to have one drum pattern the whole beat on that melody that you send them? No, you'd expect an intro and a hook and some verses. So make your melodies interesting. It'll make your beats better, and you'll have a lot better chance of getting your melodies placed, and you'll sell a lot more melody kits and stuff like that if that's what you're trying to do. I take the time to make melodies interesting and constantly evolving throughout. So I'm gonna walk you guys through exactly like my experimenting process and how I go about doing that. Okay, so when I turn all my aux sends and delays and automation and all the stuff I ended up doing off, this is what it sounds like. Okay, that's all right, but I'm already bored. So here's with all the automation clips and all the effects we ended up drawing, what it sounds like. So if you want to find out how we just made that sound fire, how it stayed so interesting, and how it evolved all the way throughout, make sure you stay till the end of the video, because I'm going to cover every automation clip I've drawn here and every effect that I've added to this original 2 melodies that we had. So I found a patch I like in Omni. So a lot of times before I even go looking for sounds, I'll put kind of like a lo-fi filter on just to cut out like the stuff I know I really don't want. I'll probably cut out like below 150 and around like 7K. Maybe I'll add some back. I just find that a lot of times I'll end up like passing by sounds because the low end's throwing me off, or the high end, or even if I do like the sound, if I'm trying to like play chords and figure out what I like, some frequencies that are really low or high are more resonant than others, and it just throws me off altogether. So this is just raw from Omnisphere, so I want to show you guys like what I go about doing with it and how I create melodies. I'd be lying if I said I played piano or recorded anything. I pretty much pencil everything in. It is good to like play stuff on your keyboard though, to kind of get an idea of like the tempo you're hearing. So I was playing something like, probably around 60. So I'm gonna just double time it and go to 120. Try to figure something out in the next 2 bars to switch it up and keep it interesting. I know that I probably want to duplicate it and create a low end and just take it down an octave and layer it under. Might end up doing something to change the pattern up. So I'm gonna take this down an octave. I'm gonna end up bouncing these to audio, but before I do that, I want to get the actual like sound right within the VST. So I really don't like having delays on within my sounds. If you watch my other videos, you know how I like to run delays and stuff through aux sends. So I'm gonna turn the delay off so I'm not stuck with that. You guys can hear like when I stop it, how it rings out for a while. What you can do, it's going to be different in every VST where these knobs are. Most likely the decay, but sometimes it can be the release, so you kind of want to mess with it. When you talk about sound design and just not even so much creating sounds from scratch, but making little adjustments to sounds you want, you're a lot better off using a handful of VSTs that you really know how to work. So I'm going to try bringing the decay down before anything. It's still resonant, so it's probably the release. Yeah, you can see how quick it is now, right? That's a lot better than So it's not a huge difference, but when you're sending sounds to delays and reverbs, it all starts to add up and just create like unnecessary sounds. So always start at the source, get things right before you throw effects on it and stuff like that. So I'm gonna go into the lower octave and do the same thing. Okay, so I'm gonna bounce these to audio for the sake of being able to time stretch them, reverse them, and just do like a lot of other stuff that I am probably gonna wanna do. I'm gonna just go here and click on render and replace. Boom, that's nice. That's nice. FL isn't so bad. When I used to complain a lot about FL not being able to do stuff, but I guess I just didn't know where to click to do it. Render and replace is pretty nice. Okay, so we got the audio now. There's a couple things that I usually try. I try like time-based effects, like half speed, like a quarter note speed. I try reversing stuff. I'll go automate to delays after that, but probably try reversing it before I do anything. It sounds weird, but when you do this long enough, you'll start hearing shit in your head. I want this note to be high. When you reverse stuff, if you're trying to keep it consistent with like an original melody layer, keep in mind it's reversing everything. So you're gonna have to like chop it up to get it lined up right. I know I'm listening for this melody, the lower melody. I plan on keeping like that. I don't want to reverse it. So in my head, when I'm looking at my reverse melody, I'm thinking I gotta get it to line up to go with that. That'll work. That'll work. Okay, so this is where you make money. You can get technical with it and just make shit fire. And not a lot of people are doing this. A, because it takes time, and B, because they don't know how to do it. So this just takes a lot of practice, and like, it sounds weird, but when you do this shit long enough, you'll start hearing things in your head, as creepy as that sounds. You'll start hearing how you want melodies to sound. So I'm listening, and like I said, the high melody, this reverse now, and the low melody are kind of like just way too much, like they're running into each other. What I'm gonna do is automate the volume of the high melody because I don't want it to run all the way through. You could grab the knife tool and like chop it up. I know that's gonna create pops in my sample, and honestly, I might want some parts to just be lower than others rather than completely chopping them out. So I'm gonna just click here and click on automate volume, like the first two. I wanna hear this one. This one is bothering me. So I wonder if I have to take the volume all the way out. Let's see. Immediately, like there's more space. I don't want to hear this one. I don't want to hear the last three. And then I can most likely take this automation and just duplicate it to right here. Okay, so compared to the original where I didn't automate the volume, it's just doing a lot. So it could be an intro, but it's gonna have a hard time getting drums to bounce to this melody because the melody's just doing too much. I want this last note to be slightly quieter, like kind of like fade out at the end here. So I got a melody and a counter melody. A lot of times I really just be layering melodies by duplicating them, pitching them differently. So what I'm gonna do to fill this little bit of space, but to not be too annoying, and to add more interest, is probably automated delay just off this note. So I'm gonna send it to a quarter note delay. This is my template that I have available on my site. I just got a bunch of reverb set up, a bunch of delay sends set up, and it's that simple. Rather than going in and having to load up delay presets or anything, just click here. There you go, you got a delay. So like I said, I know I want the delay like just off these first two notes, and then we'll see where we go from there. Okay, I guess I want it off this note too. And I just want it, I feel like I just want it off the first two notes of this. Something awesome to do too, to create even more separation, is to put a filter on your delay. So that's another great reason why aux sends are lit. If you apply the delay directly to the track, you can only EQ the delay in the track the same way, right? So if you create a dedicated aux send or a dedicated delay send, you can EQ that delay to sound totally different. So I don't know if Fruity has any decent, do they have any decent presets? Old Telephone, hell yes they do. Okay, so it's really like a lo-fi type effect. I'm gonna bring this boost down, I don't really need that. But you guys can hear how much different it's gonna make the delay sound. And just so you can hear like just a delay, I'm gonna unlink the main channel from the mixer. And I'm gonna show you guys, this is what it sounds like, the delay, without the filter on. So that's just my delay channel, right? Now here's when I put like a lo-fi telephone type filter on. I wanna cut out more highs. And it's just gonna help separate it from your original melody. I'm gonna do a ping pong delay actually. Man, Fruity delays are so average. Keep in mind when you're doing aux sends, you don't want any dry, right? That's 100% wet channel, whether it's a verb or a delay or whatever you're setting up. Make sure it's 100% wet. So I'm gonna make the delay a little bit more stereo sounding than the original to give it like, that's what you're doing when you're creating a ping pong effect, you're adding stereo interest. So I'm gonna add to it even more by turning the stereo knob. It's kind of high level stuff, but like it'll make your shit way more interesting than any other producers, trust me. I automated the amount that's being sent to this delay and you can watch it work. All right, so let's hear what we got now that we're back with the low melody too. I'm really not thinking about how I would sequence this out. I just want to show you guys how to add like maximum switch up and interest to your stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna have the volume of the low melody automate in, because why not? So to go even further, I'm gonna put like a gross beat half speed on the reversed melody. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna automate the gross beat for sure, because why not? Between the amount you're sending to the delay, your volume automation on that reverse melody, fading in the volume of the low melody, and now we're about to automate a gross beat half speed on the high reverse melody. So like there's like 4 levels of variable right there, right? And this is so much more interest than like, you know, sequencing and thinking about, okay, let me take away this snare and this 8 bars, let me add this perk and this 8 bars, whatever, because this stuff's so constantly evolving. You see how the lines are. It's literally evolving and moving up into something else. Your listener's just constantly gonna be not bored because very little subtle changes are happening, and that's super important in trap and rap beats because artists will get thrown off if you're doing dramatic stuff. Really why I started doing all this was I got bored of my own beats and I wanted them to be very dynamic and evolving throughout without throwing an artist off. So let's automate this gross beat. I like it all the way on at first. It sounds pretty good. Right here, I'm gonna show you like just a little bit of what it's actually gonna sound like, and we'll fade into it. And then right here, I'm gonna have a drop into it. That's another thing, right? I used to think that drops were like a hard 808 or like a crash just smacking. Like you can add so many different things to add dynamic and like an effect to a drop, and melody automation and shit like that is such a big thing. I don't want it all the way in just yet, that's way too much. So yeah, let's have it like halfway here and then drop all the way in here. Like I said, I'm not really trying to sequence it out like I would for a beat. I'm trying to show you guys how to keep melodies as interesting and evolving and dynamic as possible. All right, let's see how this sounds. 24 bars of staying super interesting and constantly evolving. I know I've kind of been all over the place, and I apologize because it's a lot to explain, but like, don't worry about doing exactly what I'm doing, creating the exact effects and saying I gotta automate a volume on my second melody, and I gotta automate a quarter note delay on my second melody, and then I gotta automate a gross beat. Like, this video is to show you guys my general process. I might only do one of these things in a beat. I might not automate anything in a beat, but that would be pretty rare. The point is, just take away from this my experimentation process, apply it to yourself. You might like eighth notes or half note delays, or you might like, I don't know, a different effect than a half speed on a gross beat or something like that. You might end up automating a phaser instead of a delay. That's actually a good idea. That's actually a good idea. Let's automate a phaser just because. Just because. Because why not? Do I want to do this to the high melody or the low melody? Let's test them out. So yeah, in my template, this is another effect send I set up for you guys as a phaser. Oh my God, that sounds fire. Let's see how the low one sounds being sent to the phaser instead of the high one. That sounds better. I like that. So I'm going to automate how much we're sending to the phaser of the low melody. And where would be a good place to do that? Sorry, it's when I do the shit in real time, it's throwing this off. So I'm gonna draw these in and then play it. All right, so I automated how much of this low melody is being sent to the phaser. That's with the phaser. This is without. I think it's really important to keep your stuff interesting, especially melodies. It's really easy for them to get boring. For those of you guys who follow me on Twitter, you know I've recently started posting like melody videos and saying at the producer you hear on this, and I appreciate all you guys that have replied, and I really appreciate all you guys who have at big producers who I'm trying to work with. Need these placements, man. The most recent one I put up, man, it got a ton of engagement, which I really appreciate, and I had some major like Grammy award winning producers hit my DM, which was the last thing I ever expected to happen. So that was really because of you guys adding these producers, and it was really because I take the time to automate shit, take the time to make melodies interesting and constantly evolving throughout. So thank you guys for watching. I know it was a lot to follow. I just want you to take away my general experimenting process. Make it your own, go through it, figure out what you like, figure out what you don't. At the end of the day, you don't have to automate 5 things like this. I did this to show you like the extent you could go to. This is the most that I would do in terms of melody automation, because anything else is really overkill. And I really might have reached overkill, but I just wanted to give you guys a good example of how I do this stuff in my process. So even if you're automating one effect for starters, that's great. Your stuff's already more interesting than it was before. So thank you guys for watching, man. I appreciate everything, and peace.